podcast. I have a friend and neighbor with me today to share her experience as a mom and native Ukrainian and what it's like for her to mom in America. So this is Ola Lee. She is an amazing lady who's done so much for our community, and I thought it'd be really fun to share her story. So Ola, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. And energy. So I just what I find really curious is what was different for you growing up in Ukraine, and what was memorable about your childhood?
So much. I don't know where to start. So just a little bit, just a little to explain where I grew up and how it was very different. It's not suburbs like
Mm-hmm.
where we live right now. I'm a city girl. It's a big city. I'm from Zaporizhia, Ukraine, and it's about 700,000 people. So it's
Mm-hmm.
big. And I lived in downtown of a big city. So that means just a totally different lifestyle from an American lifestyle for children. Very social. I lived in an apartment building. A big concentration of children, like crazy. Fun. It was fun. I mean, I don't know. Everybody thinks that childhood is fun, more or less. I thought
Yeah.
I loved growing up where I grew up. I loved the environment. I love my friends. I don't know. I don't know.
So like from a suburban perspective, you have to like drive everywhere. So you just had like access to like parks, playgrounds, like
Right.
just
Yeah,
within like walking distance and stuff like that. So it's just really different.
exactly. So downtown, I don't know if maybe some people can relate from big cities that grew up
Mm.
in Bronx or I don't know, like Chicago downtown. It's like that. You get out of your apartment building, and it's like life is exploding everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
grandmothers are sitting on the bench, probably talking crap about other people. Kids everywhere. They're like little kids, big kids, teenagers. Like everybody had a spot. Then you get out of your neighborhood, and we had a ginormous park.
Mm.
And then shops, and we were always, as children, was sent to get like a loaf of bread or something like not too
Yeah.
heavy to carry, like, and then by the time, and then you get the money, you go, you on the way you find a friend and they come along with you, and then you go get the bread, and then by the time you're home you only have half of a loaf of bread, then you get yelled at, stuff like that. And very active, very active. People are not hovering over children. Even though it's city, it's easy to lose your kid. Cars everywhere, buses and stuff like that, but not like kind of like go and explore type of
Yeah.
parenting more
Yeah.
than I learned things about American culture, like things like helicopter parents.
Yeah.
I That's
My
not a
husband.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'm generalizing,
Right.
okay? Like I'm sure
Absolutely.
there's some, but no, it's like we are the opposite of helicopter parents. We
I love
just
it.
different perspectives. So
No, I love it.
I
So
hope
is there any like traditions that you remember doing as a kid that you're like, oh, I love that. What a great memory.
traditions. I don't know. The first one comes to mind is after each meal, especially dinner, we we drink tea, hot tea.
Hmm.
So nobody just eats just to actually not just for dinner. Anytime food is a big thing. It's like a social thing in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So if you can't just eat and then get up and clean up. you kind of like, it's what it
Okay.
used to be, I think, in US back in the 60s, 70s, maybe I would have gathered, right?
Yeah.
But it's so tea is almost like a little leash to after dinner for people to stay and still talk. We we have, so usually it's black tea,
Okay.
and people are horrified of giving tea to children here. I've heard,
Yeah. Caffeine.
right,
Yeah.
because it's caffeine. You
Hmm.
know what? Maybe it's right, but I don't remember anybody dying from drinking tea. So even little kids, they get a little cup, they get a little saucer, right? So you got, what do you
Yeah.
call it? And
Yeah.
then you pour your tea so it's not too hot. And then kids, like, since like very little, kids are still hanging around after food, and we still talk. So it's lots of talking, lots of eating and lots of talking. And so I find Ukrainian parents and grandparents very nosy. Everybody knows each other's business. If you're not telling, they drag it out of you,
Oh my gosh.
whether you like it or not. So I think that is a little bit, some might say too much, where American families, they stick a little bit. They have more of a, they respect each other's privacy more, I guess. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting though because it's like having a nosy neighbor sometimes I feel is an underrated situation.
Mhm.
Because like there's people like nobody on my street knew like we were moving until like the moving truck came with like the stuff, and because nobody talks to each other, it's like you're like what, you know? So I it's a really it is an interesting cultural juxtaposition to see that,
Mhm.
and you're like, wow, nobody really cares what's happening. You know, like I could be dead here. Nobody knows. So it's interesting. It's really interesting.
It's extreme, one extreme to another.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm imagining moving in Ukraine. Everybody would know. Probably people that don't need to know, they'll know. But then it's also, people would come and offer their help, helping
Mm,
you moving, taking your kids maybe while you're packing and stuff like. So it's good and bad, I guess.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
And another tradition is a huge tradition is cooking together.
Mm,
There is no way. Can I say hell?
yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Boy. There's no way in hell that I can, even like my mom is visiting. Not that I don't want her to help me, but she steps in and we all cook together. There are lots of dishes that almost like a factory dish, that somebody's mixing dough and somebody's filling it, and then while you're cooking, you communicate, you talk, and it's kind of like without just discriminating man,
Hmm.
more of a female thing to be in the kitchen in
Hmm.
Ukraine. Um, so that I miss a lot, and I like that. It just, I don't know, food brings you together. I know lots of
Hmm.
other cultures do that too. Italians and Greeks and Middle Eastern people, they cook together. It's like a thing,
Yeah,
you know.
it is like a thing, and it makes me think about how I mean I love to incorporate like my kid and stuff too, but like it makes me realize how little we come together to cook sometimes
Hmm.
in the States, unless it's like Thanksgiving or a
Hmm.
holiday or something like that. So, how do you take these experiences and traditions and just even like the memories of your childhood, and how do you fuse them into your own mothering style?
So, I try. It's hard, and I only have one daughter. She's 12. I try to involve her into, like, when I'm cooking something. I try to, not as much as I probably should, She is also a slowpoke, so I'm quick. I'm like ninja in the kitchen. But and she's like, Mom, what? I can't take it, so I probably should do it more. But I do try to take her more into the kitchen and cook with her. I speak my language with her.
Oh, nice.
Um, I speak my language with my dog. Sometimes, mostly when it's something really bad, I yell Ukrainian. It sounds juicier.
Yeah, I
Then
can.
everybody knows they're in trouble. So it's natural. So when I drop something, I swear in Ukrainian because it's better. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I get that. I get that. I like to
um,
say random things in Spanish, and I only know one swear word in German, so I'll be like, Scheiße.
um, I wrote down some things. So I'm sorry. The question was, how do I incorporate
Yeah.
Ukrainian culture at home?
Hmm.
Um, not just culture, but maybe like other trades and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That would be so I have to tell you, I don't know if people know, Ukrainians been pagans for way too long.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. That's a fun fact.
So and I had to have facts, so I wrote it down. Christianity was adopted in Ukraine in the ninth century,
Okay.
Greek Orthodox.
Okay.
So but and you would think from a ninth century, it's still dragging. So what I'm saying is we have our culture is full of superstitious things all day, every day. So that's where
Okay.
it came from. So when I first met my poor husband, oh my God, things he has to deal with. I told him a million times he would be better off if he just married an American girl. But he thinks he says he likes it. I don't know about that, but so because I make him do those things too. So we have a million things all day long throughout the day that I do that I don't realize that I do. But then if you count them, it sounds like I'm some kind of witch, which I'm not. I'm not. But it's like it's little things that I do, but I do it because my grandmother partially was raising me, and then my mom, and then there's me, and whether I like it or not, I brought it upon like Zoya has it now, so I'm sorry. But it's a big thing. It's an absolutely unnecessary. I'm not taking pride in it, but it's me. And so I can give you
Yeah,
examples.
yeah. Give me an
You
example. I'd
guys
love to
have a
know.
couple of things like a cat goes
Yeah.
by, the black cat, you have to, but do you do something? That's the thing. You guys have a whole bunch of those things but you have them, but you don't do anything afterwards. Do you do something?
No.
When your cat goes, so the cat goes by, you screwed, right?
Yeah. It's just I'm Catholic,
But
so I just
no, you can fix it. Then when you walk through that pathway, he passed or she passed through,
yeah.
and you hold on to a black color, you good. That's just some of them. I wrote it down, like the ones that were coming to my head. For example, sit before travels. You have to sit down, like if you travel, like not go into Publix. I'm talking traveling overseas. You might take your luggage outside or in a car, whatever. But before you really exit your home, you have to sit down. Sit down. Could be on the floor, on the stool, anywhere you want. You sit down and you just say a little prayer in your own words. Like I hope the travel is well. I hope to get there safe, and then I want to. When I go back, I hope that everything goes well as well, and nobody gets sick, and blah. Just something positive to for that. So I've done it all the time. My husband met me, and he started the research. He started noticing those cuckoo things that I do and my family does, and then he was telling us that we're crazy, whatever. And then one day I actually forgot to sit down. I was going to Germany and he was staying. And I was just too excited and then we left and I got in the car and he's taken forever. I'm like, I'm going to miss my flight. He gets out, he opens the door. He's like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. You didn't sit down. You just forgot. We forgot to sit down. And I'm like, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, who's the witch now? So he is been with me for 25 years. I think it's stuck now. And so he does those things with me. He complains about those things, but yeah.
Well,
Just to name a few.
I think that's super fascinating. And it's funny you bring up the almost like a prayer before travel. One of my best friends is Latina, and she lives in California, and her mom, before she took the long car drive or a plane, always sits and says a little prayer for the
Yeah.
trip. Always. Absolutely. Every single time.
It's a must. It's a must.
That's so crazy. But that's not a bad thing.
And if I may share another one.
Absolutely.
Zoya did some. Okay, so if you have on your clothes, oh my God, people are gonna think I'm insane. But that's fine. I am whatever. If you have a t-shirt, for example, and then you have a little thread showing, okay, or you put on a shirt without removing your tag, right? If you don't want to take it off and cut it off, but you want to just say, you'd like, can you cut it for me just real quick? You have to, oh my God, you have to put literally anything in your mouth and then cut it off. Or somebody has to cut it off for you, but you have to put something in your mouth. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. So I've been doing it for Zoe since she was little. That kid goes to school. A girl needed something off. She made her put it in her mouth.
Oh my God.
So then the whole class would doing it. And so she came home and she told me, Mom, she was little. She was like first or second grade. I'm like, honey, don't to other people. This is just for us. Let's keep it in our family. We don't need to spread this craziness around because they're gonna think you're friends.
How sweet is that she's really
Yeah,
internalizing it.
It's inside of her. It's already. I did it.
It's okay. I think it's great. There's little cultural nuances. Is there anything that's like similar, and then about the way you because your childhood obviously was in Ukraine. So are there any similarities you see here in the US about how you're raising Zoya, and versus are there any just crazy differences in the way we parent?
Just wait, because I'm gonna say something about, and then so people know what I'm saying is
Okay.
I also grew up in Germany.
Okay.
I was born in Ukraine. I grew up in Germany from 12 to 23, and then I moved here. So I did get to live in Ukraine, Germany, and here. The similarities between European countries and US, it's similar. Similar. But I find European kids being more independent. That's for sure. Maybe not be. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but I think it's maybe because a lot of it is cities, and it's more compact in Europe. So that it's more. Kids are more trusted, I guess, maybe naturally.
That's
Probably
interesting.
shouldn't, but I'm just saying it is. That's my perception, and I think less hovered over. So
That makes sense.
I do like diversity here because there are
Mm,
all kinds of people here. I love that. I think it's very good for um, a person, a child being developed or raised in a diverse community or country. I like that. Uh, Kids are better listeners in Europe. I don't know if it's fear. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's a little. I don't know. It
there's like zero tolerance, I feel like, from what
um
I've seen
oh it
to a certain degree. Like you just when mom says no, not that there's not tantrums or anything like that, but
yeah,
when like
yeah.
mom or dad says no, or whoever the caregiver is, I've just like watched kids like don't do what they do here. And it's not like you're diminishing their emotions or telling them not to this or not to that.
Yeah,
But what
exactly.
I've witnessed in my travels, and especially like watching Declan acclimate to Spain, is like kids
Hmm.
just don't do what they do here. Like I would agree with you 100% based on my very
Yeah,
novice experience.
yeah, I've
It's
noticed that.
fascinating.
It's strict, but it's with love. Again, generalizing. Some
Hmm.
kids are getting abused, I'm sure. But like when people say, your daughter is so, so good behaved, so sweet. She always has been. Uh,
Hmm.
she's also afraid of public shaming, which I do sometimes. It works. Like a very light,
Yeah,
But,
palatable.
like, because I do think kids should know how to behave in public. And if they, like one thing, like inside voice, outside, well, like you can do one thing at home, but you don't be an animal in public. So that's, I think that's important.
I
I
think
don't
it's very important to hold firm boundaries 100%. And that
know.
that starts at a young age. Absolutely. People would always get nervous on planes. I don't know how often you've traveled with Zoya, but people would always get nervous on planes with Declan. And he's like 3, even now, even because he's a 5-year-old, he talks a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and then they sit there, and even if he doesn't have like a tablet to watch or whatever, like he's a really good traveler because
Mhm.
he knows there's zero tolerance for bullshit when we're
Mhm.
traveling.
Mhm.
And I'm usually traveling by myself with him. So it's like we don't behave like a jerk on a plane
Mhm.
in an airport ever
All
at
right.
all. Period. There's a very specific expectation, and
Mhm.
I don't feel like of course you're going to be tired, you're going to cry from time to time, but there's a certain behavioral component that I kind of demand from him because it's just like don't be a don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick,
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I explain everything to him. I was like, I can't yell at you because I'm trying to get both of us to a foreign country with 8 suitcases. So I don't
Mhm.
have time for you to be running through the airport and me
Mhm.
chasing after you. I don't have time for it. So
I
don't do it.
cannot see him doing that
No,
at all.
he's
He's so
he's the
stupid.
best traveler ever. Like he is a really good traveler, but he's been doing it
Mhm.
since he was 2 months old. So he doesn't have a choice
Yeah,
now.
I think that is a thing too. Zoe's been traveling. She was 8 months old first
Mm,
time we went to Germany. So I think plus he's one child.
yeah.
So is Zoe. So I think it's a one child syndrome in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different breed of children, the one and only,
I know
right?
it is.
I
It
think
is.
could be good and bad, but that's a good thing.
And because you kind of have the time to be consistent. Like I can
Hmm.
be very consistent with him because he's my one and only. And there
Right.
is no I don't differentiate, I'm sure you're the same way with Zoya. It's like
Yeah.
this is how it is, and it's consistency, and that is super key, at least
Right.
in my opinion. Anyway,
Right.
uh, so is there anything you miss about Ukraine or Germany, like in, just the way things are done or socially or family oriented? Like, is there anything that pops up for you?
What I miss is, uh, um, so when I say Ukraine, I also combine it with, maybe with Germany
Okay.
slightly, because, like I said, half of my life was in Ukraine, and then it was in Germany, and then my whole family lives in Germany. My mom and
Oh,
dad, my brother and his family. Uh, maybe that question can be answered. Um, it's all in one, like Europe, I guess.
yeah.
I do miss, obviously, personally, I miss my family. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have, I have nobody. I have just Steve and Zoya and
Mm-hmm.
his family. And they, I hope he doesn't listen to this one, even though he knows. Um, and so I do miss my peeps,
Mm-hmm.
miss my friends, but like things like traditions that are not enough for just me to integrate it into our family. Um, actually everything, the lifestyle. People go too fast here, too crazy.
Mm,
It's a little bit, people taking more time. People not as stressed, I guess.
yeah.
Maybe not as financially fortunate, but they're not as stressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing.
Understandable.
I miss food. I miss that I can't go to a store and buy a book in my language. Um,
Mm,
I do have to buy it online, but it's very limited. It's usually comes from New York. And then I miss architecture. I miss
mm,
restaurants. Um,
I get that.
Stuff like that. But um,
The architecture in
mhm,
Europe is just a different
yeah, I
thing.
miss traveling. So what is amazing about being living in Germany, because it's in the center, pretty much the
Mm-hmm.
center of Europe. So, and it's so little, everything is so little that sometimes it would be like, no, it's gonna be Mondays off or Fridays off. What are we doing this weekend? Let's
Mm-hmm.
just go to Prague. Let's go to Amsterdam. Let's go 2 hours and you already somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because you don't need visas and you can just up and go. And then if you don't want to stay in a hotel, you can go back home at night, or,
Yeah.
that was that was my thing about traveling,
Mm-hmm.
visiting traveling. So I've been to lots of places because, it was so convenient,
Mm-hmm.
that I miss too. But it's great to travel here. There are different states; they're all different, and
Mm.
but it's so far that it's not as simple, you know.
It's no, and it's expensive.
It is, but where you can in Germany hop from one culture to a totally different culture, language, food, everything in 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then the next weekend you can do the same to a different. It's incredible. That is probably one of the most things that I miss.
Yeah. Can I ask why your family moved to Germany?
Why?
Yeah.
Why or when did you say?
Why?
Why? After Soviet Union collapsed and the countries were open,
Mm-hmm.
and Ukraine had its independency, uh, we we were allowed to get out, because I don't know, lots of people don't know. Uh, Iron Curtain is a thing,
Yeah.
and we were not allowed to travel outside of USSR. When I say we, it's more of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I was already, I still remember, but
Yeah.
when I was little, when I was actually almost before we moved, it was it was getting better there. So anyway, finally we were allowed to travel, and I was drinking wine.
Yep. I am.
Could be. I'm drinking vodka.
You are.
Just kidding. No,
Yeah, your vodka martinis are the death of me. I'm not even going to go
I'm
there.
sorry. So anyway, so finally we were allowed not only to travel, we were allowed to sign up for permanent residency in 3 countries. In my case, it was 3 countries because my father is Jewish. 3 countries were offering uh, provide you with like a green card, I guess, or permanent residency rather. Green card, it's for 10 years, and then you have to. It was Israel, United States, and Germany. Israel, obviously, Jewish people coming to their homeland.
Right.
United States, because United States has a very big Jewish community here. And Germany, obviously, because they killed millions of Jews, so they were trying to make it up to. And so my parents went to Israel, did not like Israel. My grandmother and my aunt was already there, and they thought it was very Middle Eastern. To visit, very cool country. To live, it was not for my parents. United States, you needed to have a very close relative. It would be like a mom, dad, aunt, maybe first cousin. We didn't have anybody. We had friends, but we didn't have relatives. And then, so the last one was chance to leave was Germany.
That's
And we went to
fascinating. That's fascinating. So do you speak any German too? In
I
addition
do.
to, so you speak Ukrainian, English, and German, at least.
And I speak Russian by force.
I can barely speak English.
Oh,
And that's why Europeans are cooler.
oh, come on, come
Every
on.
European you meet can speak at least 2, if not 3 or 4 languages. It's ridiculous.
Because, it's not because we're so smart and so dedicated. It's because everybody's so close, rubbing each other's butts. It's so close. You have to. And I have to say the languages is a big thing in European education at schools, and it's a thing. Here it's kind of like optional almost. I feel like, but yeah, that's why.
So when you moved here, did you find anything particularly difficult?
I have to say I never liked living in Germany.
Oh.
I did grow up in Germany, but I never felt. And you would think you would throw a child in any country.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll be fine. They'll adopt and they'll like it. I mean, I did what I had to do, but I never felt welcomed. I did as a child, a 12-year-old child, had an experienced. What do you call it? It's not racism. They white and I'm white. What do you call it? Not racism.
Prejudice. Prejudices?
I guess Germans versus everybody else. So I did had a couple of situations in school, and I was not a bad kid, and I don't know. It's just so that being said, never really liked it. When I moved to US, from the moment I stepped out, it was in Boston because I lived in New Hampshire. It felt, as we already know, I'm a witch, and I'm a very in tune with my feelings, and it's October after all, right? We just have Halloween meeting. It felt amazing. It felt right. I felt like I love it. I shouldn't say it too fast, but I really love it so much. So people, I love Americans. You can say whatever you want, but Americans are very nice people. And I'm not kissing anybody's ass right now. I am honest, true, like it helped as an immigrant
Mhm.
to integrate better, to learn the language better, not to be ashamed, not to speak the language perfectly, going to find a job, taking the license. I didn't have a license or a car in Europe. It's extremely expensive. And I really didn't need it. But here I had to. And so all that made me feel very comfortable and welcomed. That it was it was very nice.
I get you.
Good memories. Even though I moved so far from my hometown,
Mhm.
eh, I don't regret it for a second. So
No, I understand that when you step somewhere for the first time and you're like, there's like a certain energy or vibe that you get.
right.
And it's like, it could be, yeah, I could do this. And I felt that way when I landed for the first time in like Barcelona. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, and it's so different because it's still, it's Catalan, it's very specific Spanish culture. You can argue that any region in Europe, even within one country, is they're very, I want to say like, I don't want to say segregated, but they're very prideful about whatever their area is. And you can see it, I can see it a lot in Spain. Um, so that's really interesting. But when you stepped out and you just get this like wash over you of these people, places, things like the buildings, the noises, the smells, like, and you're like, oh, can I do this? And you just have this like like instinctive
Hmm.
reaction to whatever the energy is. I totally understand that.
Hmm.
Totally get that. Do you see any benefits raising Zoya here in the States versus in Europe? Or like, do you wish she had some of the access that you had as a kid?
Yes. I think American childs, um, now generalizing again, if from a good family and you financially okay, don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be rich, or that you can eat every day, or you not have to look for food,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Okay, could be. I think United States is a very very good country to raise your child. Um, uh, if you do it right, of course, if you have good parenting skills too, and you know,
We're all
I don't
just
know
figuring it
if
out.
huh?
We're all just figuring that part out.
Exactly. So what do I know? Like that's why I never give anybody. I would never do that. Uh, parenting advice would never do that because what do I know? I have one. I doing doing what I'm doing with my gut feeling. I'm
Yep.
not, So
Right there with you. Right there with you. You just got 7 years on me.
it's not easy. But if you as a parent do okay, how about this? As a parent, if you do it as a parent, if you do it right, if you do it with love, with discipline, huge on discipline, and but not too strict because
Mhm.
you do have to be friends with your children so they don't freaking hate you at the end. Uh, but then I think you can give your child a great life here in America, and you can um, um, encourage your kid to do it right. Have a good education if like things like scholarships. I don't know if it's a thing in Europe. I don't know. But I think here, like, that's amazing. If you, it's almost like that's an American thing. If you work your ass off, you you can be rewarded, and I really like it. And I don't think it's Europeans roll that way.
No, my husband thinks it's fascinating, our collegiate, like all the college and university level sports that we have here, and how that
Hmm.
just from like to give an example, I think of what you're kind of talking about, um, and how that is kind of like what filters
Hmm.
like our NFL and our major league
Hmm.
sports teams and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
whereas in Europe it's so different how
Hmm.
they find the talent to put, like, if you just look at football, soccer for Americans. So
Hmm.
football is what we call it in my house. And it's coming from different clubs. Like these kids are invested in the clubs at a young age, not the college, not like the
Hmm.
recreational activities, but like you're like groomed in a different way to be
Hmm.
these elite athletes. And he finds it absolutely fascinating how
Hmm.
different the structures are
All
in
right.
Europe and in the US.
With
It's
the
fast.
sports, also, I think it could be unfair. Sometimes well, we know that some athletes are really good at certain sport, and
Mm-hmm.
they recruited and
Mm-hmm.
they went in, but they're dumb as a stump. But some dorky kid is genius in math just because they weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
that is a little bit unfair. I actually did write down because I think it's important. Because I was going through those questions with my husband yesterday, and he was like,
How sweet. How sweet.
how sweet, yes. And he's like, well, make sure you say something positive. I'm like, what do you mean? Because you know, I complain a lot. So
Who
that's an
who
Ukrainian thing.
doesn't? Who
So,
doesn't?
but I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a more patriot than all of you. So, but I did. So, U.S., I said pluses, safety here, no war. It's very, I know it has,
Oh, that's a really
you know.
good point I wouldn't
So,
have thought of.
yeah. So it it's important, especially now, especially for personally me and
Mm-hmm.
things that I know and I have to read and listen to and all that. So I always, every day, ever since the war in Ukraine started in 2014, but full invasion a couple of years ago almost. Uh, I wake up, and it's the first thing on my mind, and
Mm.
it's not and I'm not trying to sound romantic or anything like that, but romanticize it, but I do. It's on my mind all day, every day, that I don't have to think of a bomb flying over my house and killing me.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends that still live there, they do. So it's safety is a huge thing.
Hmm.
So no, so financially better off. mm Talking about me, I think I
Mm-hmm.
would be. I am better off financially here if I would be in Europe. It's not about the money. It's not all about the money, but it's
It
less.
helps.
It's safe. It's safety.
It's a bonus.
Um, Americans are better fathers than European fathers, I believe. Although
Aw.
Spanish fathers are known to be incredible fathers, and you probably know that. Have you noticed?
I haven't paid attention, but I will say this, because there are so many parks and we have such great access to them in Spain. I have noticed a lot of times, like, my husband is not the only dad on the playground why the mom sits down. Like,
Hmm.
it's very I would say, again, in my naivete, is very equal at least. And I think that is something that is newer for the US than it is
Yeah.
for certain countries. Yeah. Like,
Right.
and I
Okay.
remember telling my husband, I was like, I'm not the only person who can do this. Like, you can go to the park and answer emails. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And he's a great dad. My husband, I will never shit talk him on his fatherhood. Like, he is an incredible, incredible father. And he had just absolute gem as a dad himself. So like my
Mm-hmm.
father-in-law was very hands-on, and Dominic is very hands-on with our kids. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky.
Yeah,
I didn't have to train him too much. He was ready for it.
right. That's what I've noticed. They're more involved in general. Um, like I already said, the more opportunities in the future for kids in US.
Mm,
I love that everybody is doing sports. It's or something. It has to like most European kids are kind of lazy that way, I think. Where American kids are, they always some families overdo it, in my opinion. They taking too many sports and then kid is exhausted or doesn't succeed in school because the kid doesn't have a chance to have homework because too much of everything is no good. But definitely sports is good, and every family has a dog, and most not every family has a dog. Lots of people have pets. That's what I always wanted, and I was not allowed to have a dog or cat. Or I had a parakeet. That's the most I could have. So I think
okay.
for a child to grow up with a pet is very important. It makes better little people when they grow up with pets, in my opinion. I
I
think.
agree. I only had outside dogs as a kid, and so my dog Dio Dionysus is my first like family dog, and I think
Hmm.
it makes such a teaches you responsibility, teaches you
Yeah,
compassion. When he dies, like it's going to teach
yeah,
you how to learn
right.
grief.
Yeah, they
I
teach you
love that.
way more than we think. Yeah,
Oh my god.
and the minuses, the school shooting.
Oof.
That's something that I never would ever had to worry in Europe, but we do here. And I don't know about you, but I'm a worrier. I always worry, 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 and so many times that I think when she goes to school,
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
don't even want to say it. You just never
Absolutely.
know. It sucks. It really,
That was
really.
one of the biggest things. That was one of the biggest things for us too was school shootings, and like I talked about it in other podcasts, but like my stepsister and my cousin both witnessed a school shooting when they
Hmm.
were in middle school. So they were like Zoya's age, 13, 14, or just a little bit older. And my stepsister never recovered from that mentally.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's
So so I think about, for me, school shootings are a very personal thing, and I don't have a and it's kind of hard to put that in like words for other people, but it's impacted my life directly and indirectly, and so I don't really have the capacity to entertain it, and not that anybody has the capacity to entertain it, but when we were talking about sending Declan to high school and where we
Mhm.
wanted him to go, I said I struggle thinking of sending him to a school in America, period, private, public, whatever. I struggle with that as a mom, as a parent, as somebody who knows people who have died from school shootings. I struggle with that, and that's my cross to bear. But equally, like,
it's all Americans'
yeah,
parents
it's
cross
it's
there.
it's just here. It's just here. So, what does that tell you about our culture? Oh, that is a different topic for a different day, but a very something that I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought
that's
up.
something
Yeah.
unfortunately we do have to have it in us all the time when we have
Hmm.
children.
Yep.
Another
Absolutely.
another couple of things is we already talked about multiple times. Uh, Kids are less independent and more sheltered. Maybe because parents do it to them. I don't know why, but uh,
Mm.
um, food and eating habits, American food and eating habits. The snacks, we don't even have a word for a snack. Why
Oh.
do everybody needs to freaking have a snack all the time? And it's always something. It's not an apple. No, apple is not good enough. It has to be So that I do. My daughter is one of those people. Busted. Uh, so I unfortunately, so I don't even buy snacks. There are no snacks in my house because it's it's not good for you. It's not healthy for you. So sit down, have your meal, moving on. I used to always say, can I have, not a snack, but I would say to my mom, can I have something? She's like, have some water. And my mom is like the nicest people. Now she sounds like an a-hole, but like it's this obsession with food here it's obsession. It's
And it's crap. It's crap
I
food.
know if it was something like I said, like a little half an apple, haven't no, but it's so that is I don't like that. Very bad geography skills people have, kids or people.
Yeah,
Like some
people. I say people.
people, yeah, well, some first day children and then they grow up and they never want to learn. So that was very surprising to me what I learned when you know when I moved and I started talking to people. They would have some people wouldn't even know where Ukraine was. Some people wouldn't even know that USSR already there is no more. Some like adults. So that is like I do
Goodness.
take it very seriously. I do tell Zoya lots of those things and travel. We have world map right there. It's like a giant one right there. We come up to it. We look at like it's. I don't want her not to know where countries are,
Yeah.
especially big ones that you. It's almost like I think that's very embarrassing. So I try to do that more. We talked about overdoing sports. Some families just overexhaust their kids with sports, and it's unnecessary. Um, uh, Still cool to smoke in Europe, where here it's already fading away. It's almost like, in the airports, yeah, they have like little houses inside. You look like an animal that you have to smoke. No offense to people that smoke, but it's still okay. So that's like a negative for Europe.
Yeah.
It's still kids still try to smoke. It's still cool to smoke. You can smoke inside of the bars and pubs and clubs, and um, so that is definitely that U.S. somehow improved. I would say within 20 years on people get not have it
Yeah.
very trendy. So
I love it. That's a good one. That's a really good one because we notice
yeah,
that when we travel, especially
pulled it
to
out of
the.
my butt.
No, you were taking diligent notes with your husband. What you talking about? Um, is there anything in particular that you have found hard about parenting in general, regardless of location?
Um, Hard about parenting.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking hard. It parenting, it's probably one of the I don't even know how people have more than one child. Parenting one is hard.
Very
Parenting
difficult.
more than one, people say it's easier when it's more than one, it's a group. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm a it's what I find very difficult. I even wrote it down. For me, just to keep the discipline
Mm-hmm.
and not give in when
Mm-hmm.
on something because well Steve is the sucker of the family. Forget him. He'll say something,
Daddy's.
no, when she comes home I'm gonna say no, and then she comes home, he says yes. Didn't we just talk about, so he's I'm the Hitler of the family, he's the sucker, so but somebody has to.
Yeah, that's the same
But
way in our house.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
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 It's hard. But to not to give in, like you have to stick to your rules
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise if you let it one slide and then
Oh yeah.
um not that I have a problem with that, the next one, but to get respect and be respected, I think you have to constantly work on that. Not
Mm.
that Zoe is
Mm.
disrespectful to me. It would be her last time she was.
Fair.
But you,
Fair.
very, very aggressive vibe from me, huh?
I don't
No,
think so.
I try to be friends, but try to keep the I'm still your mother and
Mm-hmm.
I'm your friend, and please come and tell me everything, or don't be afraid of coming to me and be afraid to tell me something because I don't want to hear it because you're gonna get in trouble. I kept telling her ever since she was little, I'm your best friend. You might have friends in the future, but I'm your best friend. I'm gonna help you
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And your friends come and go. I'm gonna be your best friend forever, and I'm gonna help you. So don't be afraid to. I'm about to cry. I got
You're not to cry. No,
well,
but that's
but
such a good point, though, that you're bringing up.
yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to be your friend because if it becomes like we're friends, then it it becomes messy.
Yeah, it's a fine line between knowing that you can be the ultimate confidant
Mhm.
and being their friends, because you still need to maintain, like you said, that respect. You do. You need to remain that
Right.
boundary as a parent and maintain that respect. But also knowing that your kids are going to get the information somewhere and they're going to seek out help from people. So
Mhm.
it's better to, I agree with you. It's better to be that person than to find out about it afterwards and deal with so many other
Sure.
things, um, and just build that trust with them mutually is really what it is, I think. And then just knowing that you might be disappointed, angry, or upset with them, but that
Right.
the love is
Yeah.
it's
I'm
not going to
still.
stop, you know?
It's there are friends. Then you disappoint them or have a fight, and they could be gone. I'm always gonna be
Yeah.
there. I'm always gonna be your mother. I'm not going anywhere until
Mm-hmm.
I die. But until I'm alive, we'll figure it out together. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think a lots of I was raised also. I wasn't raised like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I grew up, and I'm not blaming my parents. It's not. It's they're different generation,
Oh,
different
yeah.
culture, and different. Um, I was afraid of talking about certain things, asking certain things, or
Yep.
I. One of my biggest goals as a mother, to try not to do that.
Mm.
Instead, door wide open. Come to me whenever. We'll figure it out. Um, I'm talking about later in the future. Unexpected pregnant. You never know. Life is it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
unexpected pregnancies, or you know anything. I
Yeah.
don't know what else. Drugs or
Anything.
something.
Yeah.
Something. Anything. We can figure it out together rather than you hiding from me or not telling me things and then it's too late or who knows what.
Yeah.
So I'm big on that.
No, I love it. Is there anything else that we should know about your
Um,
expat life?
Anything else? I don't know. I'm just trying to keep doing it. What I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm doing it right. I don't know.
Amen to that.
No, I know. Um, it's not easy. I knew it wasn't easy, but when
Mm,
I became a parent, it's the hardest job somebody can do,
mhm,
and
mhm.
but there's no way out.
Nope.
You gotta do it, and it's never ending. My parents, oh my god, my parents
Yeah.
still call me. When you get back home, you call me. I'm like, I went to Orlando. It's 2 hours, and I'm. But what you never know. I want to make sure you're safe and you're at home. I'm 42 years old. I've been living on my own for 20 years. I'm okay. But so I think I'm saying, that being said, I am gonna do the same thing to Zoya. I'm gonna drive her crazy until I die, because that's how we are. And
Well, yeah,
I don't know any different. So
you care. That's why, because you care.
because I care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Are we finishing up?
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a statement.
Go for it.
Okay. Wait for it. I'm gonna get undressed.
Woo! Woo!
Oh. I had to do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it when I did my fundraiser.
Yeah.
Steve said, "No, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Why?"
I mean, who
Yeah.
cares?
So I decided this is my one and last and only chance, and I'm representing. So fuck you, Putin. There. And no, you're not gonna. Well, it's just for you, I guess.
No, we'll
So.
yeah. It's your podcast. It's your
All
show.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm the mom who knows nada. My name is Brianna. This has been Ola Lee. You know where she stands in certain political issues by her shirt right now, and we're here for it. So thank you for sharing some of your story with us, and I hope somebody out there learned something they didn't know they needed to know.
Thank you. I hope it was interesting.